Wildly.
Yeah, it is. It will. Yeah. There's like a little light back there. And instead of like applause, it will just say like wildly gesture.
What the fuck?
You are listening to Off the Record, a music podcast. Each week we deliver the best, hard-hitting topics of the music industry. Each episode we give our take on bands, albums, artists, music news, and more. So sit back, grab a drink, and turn it up.
What up, everybody?
We're live.
We are live. So, studio. Lord, we gave Jeremy buttons.
Yeah, baby.
So, you cannot see Jeremy on screen right now. He is the mastermind behind the podcast tonight. So
Lucky you guys.
But we are joined by two members of your Captain Speaking. So, would you guys like to introduce yourself?
What's up? This is Russ.
Hey, I'm Kyle Allagood. I'm in a band with Russ.
I'm the singer. Kyle is the drummer, I believe. So.
Yeah, they let me play drums. It's great. Yeah.
They let you play drums.
Yeah. I'm lucky they still let me play drums.
So, first off, congratulations. You're our very first band to be live on Off the Record. So
yeah, we didn't
It's
know.
an honor.
Yeah,
It's
we
an
didn't know
honor
until
to
we got
be
here.
an
This is
honor
great.
Yeah.
This is great. This setup is awesome. You guys are going to do a lot of great stuff here.
Yeah, I mean,
hope
to
so.
bands that are on this podcast in the future, you're going to love it. There's even a bar there for you. So.
Whoa.
There's a full bar here, and it was just full service. You know what I mean? It's like a B&B.
Jeeves, get with it. Get with it, Jeeves.
Yes.
Yeah.
They give away our secrets. Shit.
I know. See, now it's an official podcast.
No parties here.
Well, I didn't sign like an NDA or anything. You know what I mean? Just like, there's a body outside.
Yeah, make notes, Jade. Make notes. I'm good.
Like, don't tell bands to say. Yeah.
We'll have to get on that.
Yeah, definitely.
So, we thank you guys for being the first band and coming on. And we've been so excited ever since we we went back and forth for a while, when you guys would be available. So
we have hectic schedules. I mean, I know everyone does, but it's like when you're coordinating 4 people and then you have like an additional 4 people that you have to coordinate. It's just kind of like, I give up and I stop. I'm just like, anytime I can be there, I'll be there. Like, I'm not going to, I'm not picky about times anymore. I just look at the calendar, and if it's open, I'm like, yep, period.
That's hilarious, because I was going back and forth with Russ, like, okay, what about this day? Oh, he's like, no, and somebody was getting married, and then he was like, I'm like, okay, what about this date? He's like, oh, we can't do that date. I'm like, shit, okay, what are we going to do? So I was like, all right, so we scrambled and finally got the date set in, so we're super excited that you guys were here. And it sucks the other 2 couldn't be here, but
well, Hunter, I don't know what he was doing.
What excuse were we making up for him? Something
I
ridiculous. I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember any
It was,
excuses for
he
anything.
mentioned that he intentionally caught COVID so that he didn't have to.
Right. Yeah. He's kind of about that life.
And Dave was gesturing wildly and pulled a muscle or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like never gesture wildly in a helicopter. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then we're gonna have some surgeries.
Yeah.
But yeah, he should be fine. Everything should be A-okay. No, but Dave was a little bit worried with the COVID thing going on. He thought he might have gotten exposed the other day. Dave was going to be here, And Hunter is like generally so focused on like his whole like I don't know if you guys have seen Hunter, but like he's fucking jacked. And, like I didn't realize how much work that takes. Do you know what I mean? Like, but now that information is starting to like come through, and it's like a whole thing. Like he's very, very focused on it. So yeah, I think he's probably asleep right now, or either like sharing memes.
Okay.
So
Hey,
yeah, so
I support this.
it's a big night for him.
And if he's
And,
watching this, I'm sure he's gonna like that.
oh yeah. Well, there was nothing we could say about him that he would like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So, how did you guys form?
Actually, Kyle and I met. We worked at Guitar Center
Yep.
together back in the day. And
2009, I think, right?
I think it wasn't 9.
I'm
Might have
pretty
been
sure it was
2009. And he was a drummer, but I was playing in this other rock band called Sinister Nasty that was playing around town, and that band ended up fizzling. And I took some time away from music, and then I called up Kyle and I told him I was interested in starting another band. And what was that, 2012?
That was 2012. That was
Yeah,
now
we got
10 years
together
ago.
and jammed, and we went through some different lineups, and then we had a revolving door at bass. We finally got Hunter, who is nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, he is just disgusting, and obviously he's everybody's a core member of the band, but I mean Hunter, he's the backbone of this band.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Musically. And then we actually picked up Dave like after COVID, after things kind of started opening back up and we started wanting to play some shows. Dave ended up coming into the fold, and he's just the perfect fit. I mean, he's just
That's awesome.
ridiculously talented.
Yep.
Yeah, all of you guys are like I've watched
thank you.
a lot of your videos.
Thank
like you
you.
guys are awesome. Like
Appreciate it.
I like I said, I've seen you guys before. I've been to a few of your shows before, and I loved you guys then. And then now coming back and like, hey, let me go ahead. I'm gonna go through. Let's listen to a couple of their stuff. And I really paid attention more to you guys actually playing.
Right.
And you guys are all like phenomenal musicians,
Thanks.
like
Appreciate
in
that.
yourselves.
Thank
so
you. Yeah.
no, yeah, we're super excited to have you.
Well, and I don't know if you know this, but Kyle is actually managing Gasoline Alley Studios right now. So
No doubt.
he's doing all the bands and stuff that are coming through there. So
Oh wow.
we kind of get to hear all the new up and coming bands and stuff that are coming
That's
through. And
Yeah. That's
it's been cool. I mean, we've heard a lot of good bands.
that keeps me occupied for sure. Because I went to school for that, and basically I was like, I quit music. It's like I'm out, I'm done, And I was gonna I cut my hair, and I was gonna be a God, what was I gonna be? Like basically anything that I could like make a living off of. And and my wife was like, why she asked me a couple of times, like, have you ever thought about going to Full Sail? Right. And I was like, nah, I'm not fucking going to Full Sail. Full Sail's stupid. I'm not doing that. And it took like, I think 6 months of being like quit, because I quit everything. Like I wasn't even in this band. And I finally was like, yeah, I'll give them a call. And then like the next day I was enrolled.
Yep.
So then I did that for 2 years, and about a month before I was going to graduate, the guy that owns Gasoline Alley called me and was like, hey, we need somebody to come in and work. And then all of a sudden now it's been that for the past 3 years, like pretty much nonstop.
Wow.
So it's just kind of all worked out in a really fortunate way. A lot of like pieces have been falling into place. I was talking to my wife about that last night. Because neither of us are like super like religious, but there's definitely been like these little pieces have been falling in place at like the exact right time. So we've just been trying to capitalize on that. And part of that was us doing our record. All that just came together at like the exact right moment. Because the thing was, the band that Russ was in, Sinister Nasty, they had done a record with Corey Johnson at Alchemy. And their manager at the time was trying to get that sent to this producer called John Kurzweg. He did Creed and all of that stuff, right? So then I don't remember what, I think the band kind of just like sort of dissolved before any of that really had time to come together. And then like, 8 years later, now I'm at the studio and I got to work with John. and I kind of became friends with him. So then whenever we started to go do a new record, I called John and I was like, hey, I'm going to send you some stuff. Would you be interested in producing our record? And he was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll do it. So it's like, again, like a total full circle moment, right? Where this thing didn't happen in 2009, 2010, but we kind of stuck with it. And then somehow, like around the river bend, like it all came back together at the end.
Yeah,
and we finally got to do a record with John. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Outstanding. He's amazing.
I'll say this about John. He's the most talented musician I've ever been in a room with. Like, I mean, as far as just this guy, he's a genius. I mean, you see him at work and he's just like, I mean, he's on a different level. Like, I mean, like I understand music. He understands music. Although I'll say Kyle is growing at this point to where he's really starting to understand music, I think, in a way, kind of like John. Like,
Right.
I mean, whereas me, I'm not a producer. I have the ears. I just can't turn the dials.
Yep.
Right. I get that.
You're not an engineer.
Right. I could produce somebody, but I could not engineer it.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's the harder sell is producing anyway. I think engineering, you can kind of learn like at any level, but that production thing, it's again, like what I talk about. And here we go. Like, this is the only time I'm going to talk about Russ's voice.
Here we go.
Like Russ has this thing that I call vocal gravitas. And the way I describe it is you could have someone who's like a technically proficient singer that was singing like some beautiful song, right? Some classic, beautiful song. And it would kind of be like, oh, cool, that's a good song, but there's no sort of like emotion to it. But you could hear someone like James Earl Jones read from the phone book and you would be totally fucking mesmerized, right? Yeah. That you can't teach. You got to either have that or you don't, right? And so Russ has that, and we try very hard to like tamp him down from knowing that. You know what I mean? Like, we just kind of push that down. We definitely bully him harder than anyone else in the band. He takes it in good stride, and it keeps him level, right?
I don't have to move as much equipment, though. I will say that.
No, it's not that you don't have to move as much equipment. It's like, I think it's more of like a choice of you not moving equipment. You know what I mean? So I feel it's less about have to.
But see, they make me do all the talking. Like, I have, I don't know if that's the wisest decision, but it's just kind of how things have worked out. I mean, we played this show. You remember the show where I told them that we were the most sober band in town? I told this, I'm not even going to say the club because I don't want to do all that. But no, I went up to the manager. I was like, we are the most sober band in town. We have this, we have it together, and then I proceed to just get absolutely smashed before the show. Yes. And I'm like, I tripped and fell. Like I was loose enough to where I was doing the Mick Jagger, And then like I catch a cable on the heel of my foot and just eat it. Yeah. And then like in the rest of this song, I just T-bow up. Like I just do the T-bow right there on one knee, sing like probably 2 more minutes just in T-bow, full T-bow position.
Well, it
was bad.
From my position, basically what happens is like Hunter and I kind of like check in with each other regularly. Mm-hmm. Like we just make eye contact. Like, are you good? Yeah. Are you good? Yeah, we're good. We're fine. Everything's good. But I don't check in with Russ that often. Like I'll say like a third of the time that I check in with Hunter, I'll make sure it's like, is Russ still standing? Yeah. and so we're good, right? He's upright and he still has a microphone. So like I checked in with Russ. Everything was cool. He was still singing. I look over, I'm playing, everything's fine. I look back over, and this is the second fucking time you've done this to me, where you just disappeared from from my vision, but I still heard you singing, right? The first time was when I had that huge, I used to have a marching kick drum that was like 28 inches. Remember that like house party we played, like randomly, again, shit house?
Yeah.
Russ disappeared, still heard him singing, and eventually I like peered over and he was like huddled in front of my kick drum, like full fucking Gollum, like in front of my kick drum, right? So that's the first time. Second time is this gig where we're the most sober band and and yeah, so I just want to be in your head for that like decision making moment of like, okay, I fell over. Like these are facts. This happened. I'm down.
It's funny
Right.
that Kyle thinks I have a decision making.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
because it's
true.
really more instinctual. You know, it's like, hey, let's just say the words.
Well, the instinct was just like, because I didn't know you T-bowed, because I always had it in my head that you like Burt Reynolds on like a bearskin rug kind
Missed
of thing.
opportunity.
Yeah,
Missed
yeah. But
opportunities,
you T-bowed and you stayed T-bowed for the rest of the song because we weren't even like halfway through fucking verse 2. You know, there was still a bridge and everything else still to go in whatever song we were playing. But I mean, I was happy that you got back up. I was a little confused, but you know, at this point, I just kind of go with it. Again, don't have the mental capacity to like sit here and be like, "What the fuck is Russ doing?" It's more like Russ is doing that.
So is it safe to say you're the clumsy one?
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah. Like I'm thinking about other instances of I got really pissed off. Like,
Do you remember that one
remember I
time-
knocked my guitar over?
Oh yeah. I don't know if that was you though. Like that.
It's kind of
That was
it's
that
all
was-
generally kind of me.
That was an
Well,
awful
I mean,
moment. Legitimately.
I did spill a beer on the brand new table. So, oh Lord, like
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, man.
right here tonight before everything turned on. So it's
That
just
was
like
good. Yeah, I was gonna say
you know,
earlier. You know,
I'm fidgety. We'll say I'm like,
fidgety. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, you
I gesture
knock
wildly.
things over.
Yeah.
No, I keep thinking back to the time, like when we rehearse at the studio. So we go through Pro Tools and then come back out through headphones. So everybody's got wired headphones, but like Russ, I remember like about 3 months ago, like again, was talking to Hunter and Russ you had to get your guitar off, but you were like tangled in the headphones. And I would like watch you because you were fucking baked, like the most unimaginably baked that I've seen you at rehearsal, right? And then so like you would move the headphones and then you'd be like, no, that's not quite right. I'm still tangled. And I was still talking to Hunter, so eventually I was just like, hold on, Hunter. I was like, Russ, you're way too high. Yes, right now. Like, so I like stood up and got you untangled from this web. I mean, you know, like I'm not saying you were tangled, but if you would have fallen down a cliff, you would have been fine. You know what I mean? Like you would not have gone more than 10 feet before you were like, please help. Someone help me. I'm fucked.
Someone help me.
So yeah, clumsy's a strong word though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Clumsy's strong.
I'm graceful and cat-like sometimes on stage.
Yeah. Like remember that one time you jumped and then like about broke your foot? Yeah, that was cool too. The cat. That's what we call him, the cat. Yeah, like a fucked up, broken like alley cat.
Yeah. that sings outside your window at 3:00 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That makes so much sense. I'm
Mhm.
just saying.
Yeah.
Now that I have the details surrounding it, that makes so much
I
sense.
caterwaul, you know what I mean?
Yes, there it is. Yeah. Cat like in the whole vocalization aspect, not so much the liveness and ability to walk and not knock things over. Right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
So talking about shows, what has been your guys' favorite show that you've played?
I really like the album release show.
Yeah, no, that was a fun one.
Like that was good. It felt it was our first show back after COVID, right? Or no, second.
Yeah,
second
because we
show
played
back,
in
'cause
Panama
we played
City.
in Panama City. But it was good to be back home, and we hadn't played in Tallahassee in
2 years.
Yeah.
Close,
Wow.
year and a half.
It's like March of 2020 is when we played our last show, but
Yeah.
that was in Carabel.
Oh wow.
And
Our last Tallahassee show before that was February 13th or 15th, 2020 in Tallahassee at Fire Betty's.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We miss Fire Betty's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we
I mean,
heard
it's
Brown
back.
Goose played there last night. So.
We're gonna get back in there. It was our favorite place to play. But the album release show was really good because it felt good to be like back home and kind of reunite and see everybody. But it was also like a cool show, and people were sort of in because that was like right after the record came out, so people were actually into us playing like our originals.
And that was the Warrior, and they had a good light set up and everything.
Yep.
Like there were some good pictures and videos that came out of it.
Yeah.
Our buddy Ash shot a few like really good. I mean, they're phone videos, but he shot some really good videos, and he's actually the guy doing. I don't know if you've heard about that Cue the Muse project.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Ash is
Ash.
directing that.
Oh,
And
okay.
Russ is in it, and
Yeah,
Hunter is as well.
Hunter and I are both. Hunter's the bass player in the band in the movie. I'm one of the muses in the movie. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
What are
Well,
you the
well, you know,
muse of?
Are
you allowed to say?
No, I'm not. I actually,
okay, that's
I actually
probably a
do
better
have
question
movie,
because I'll just be like, tell us the plot.
No, I'm not going to do that. But there are some other like super talented people. The people involved in the project. It's a really cool thing. I've never done movies or anything like that, and we ended up doing that music and recording that with Brett Hessla up
Okay.
in
What?
Nashville. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. Really, when you get, we're kind of at this point in the scene, where we're kind of veteran stuff, where you kind of get to meet a lot of people you wouldn't think. Like you guys know, like Fighting Giants and Dick Burke and
Oh, yeah.
Dave Rowe and all those. Yeah, like they record with Brett a
Mhm.
lot. I
Yeah.
mean, they,
Yeah.
and if you haven't checked them out on Spotify and all that stuff. They're great band. I mean, well, we have so much talent here. Like the local scene is kind of on fire right now in Tallahassee. Like everything's kind of coming back and people are getting into it.
There's
So-
there's a real like hunger for it, I think, in
Mhm.
people, which is honestly like again half glass or glass half full of Betty White. Like
Mhm.
out of all this COVID stuff, like people actually want to gather now.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like before COVID, it was very much just like, oh, your friend's band's playing. Well, fuck them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure there's still like that's still happening to a certain extent, but like it's there. I definitely get the sense like of every show that we've played, which we haven't done a ton, but every show that we've played, there's been definite like interest. You know what I mean? I don't feel like we're just like background music for you to try to get laid.
No.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been cool, and our having our record out has been good because we've done two technically, but the first one I did when I had no fucking clue what I was doing. Right, I had gotten Pro Tools like the months before. It's like, boy, can't wait to do this. And it was, I mean, the songs were pretty good, but I didn't do that great of a job, right? And then now that we've got this record that John produced and mixed, like, and I feel like we've gotten better as songwriters. Like
Definitely.
it's
It's more of a team effort now than it was back then.
yeah. So
Okay.
it kind of it's just been good to get a good reaction from original music because I don't think
Yeah.
that hasn't happened to me in a while. You know what I mean? Like original music almost had this like not a stigma to it, but it was kind of like, oh, the band's playing an original song. Well, I need another beer or whatever. It was
Right.
time to bail
And,
out.
and it, a lot of that has to do with the venue and the type of show. Because I mean, really,
Yeah.
there are two distinctly different kinds of shows that you play your multi-band bills where you play with 3 or 4 other bands and you all basically get the door and then split the purse at the end of the night. You have that kind of gig, and then you have the kind of shows where you go play for 4 hours and you get a nice, check at the end of the night, and you're playing, probably 25% original, 75% covers. I mean, 4 hours is a long time
Yes,
to
it
cover.
is.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
Yeah.
and don't get me, like we play a lot of like 90s grunge covers and stuff like that. Like, we'll play like, or like some alternative, like Weezer, Green Day, we'll do that kind of stuff. And we do like STP, Chili Peppers, stuff to make money. And then you can finance your original music, like in the
Right.
studio,
Right. That's
and
smart.
that's the thing. Bands, I feel like a lot of bands, think that they're going to be able to build what they need off of the purses that they get when they play multi-band shows. But the thing is, it's just, you can't oversaturate the market with your band.
Right.
Like we played in Tallahassee, what was it? August 14th,
Mhm.
2020. And now we actually have a show coming up January 29th at the Warrior. I guess I can talk about that, right? I know, whatever, man. It's free promotion.
I see no reason.
If I can jump in real quick, that was one of the questions that came in on the comments.
Oh,
I've been waiting for an opportunity to ask you. when and where is your next show?
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about
No,
it.
we are. We
but
are.
I feel like at this
It's
point
promotion,
we
man.
need to.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, if you're not allowed to, then
No, we are.
No,
We're not. You know,
it's okay. So here's
it went
the
up
thing,
and went down, but they said it
have
wasn't
you guys heard of the Retrograde?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're having an album release show on what is it? January
29th.
At the Warrior. So as far as I know, we're playing, the Retrograde's playing, a band I'm producing called Northy is playing, and then the
Brown
Goose is supposed to play it, right?
Wow.
I believe Brown Goose. Yeah.
So it's going to be like a pretty cool show. The reason we're kind of like hesitant about saying anything about it is because it's not like our show. It's the Retrograde.
Well, I heard
It's
the
like
press release
their-
is happening tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So-
So they're like bell of the ball, and we kind of don't want to, like steal their thunder if they have some
Right,
sort of
right.
plan. But I mean, we're in January now. It's
Yeah.
time. We got to
Yeah.
start talking about it. So,
Yeah.
but that's going to be a really cool show. And,
Yeah, that should be a big one too. Like,
yeah, I mean, to have
that'd be a packed house, bro.
those four
Well,
bands.
please come.
Yeah. Come on out. It's going to be. I mean, it's really cool. We haven't played a show with the Goose in a long time.
No, it's
And
been
that's-
years.
So they,
Probably since 2016, 2017.
Yeah, I don't even remember. It's been a while. But I mean, they started a little bit before us, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
we kind of like,
maybe we're right next to one another, but I think they were first.
yeah, because I remember one of the first shows we played was with them at Atmosphere,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's Chris Godwin's old place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Over in Pensacola.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, so you guys are talking about the show that's coming up. So for anybody who is watching, first off, thank you for joining us and watching. But we wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek at your captain speaking. So it's the clip that I made the video for you guys for the thing before.
Oh, word. Yeah.
So I guess we're go ahead and let's play it.
Yeah,
We'll
let it
give
rip.
you guys a
Let it
little
rip.
peek.
Roll
at-
that beautiful
Let's
bean
see what
footage.
happens.
roll that beautiful beat.
Can you see like a child? Can you see what I want? I wanna run through your wicked garden, 'cause that's a place to find you. Well, I'm alive, so alive now. Break the chains to find you. Can you see without eyes? Can you speak without lies? I wanna run through your naked fountain and knock you down your sorrow. Well, I'm alive, so alive now. Break the chains to find you. Can you see?
There we go.
There we
And
go.
we're
Hey,
back.
everybody.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Hello again.
It's you guys, like I've said it already, but you guys are each individually like super talented musicians.
Thanks.
So I mean, what was your biggest inspiration?
I'll let you go.
Me, as far as like,
You come from a musical family. I mean, your dad.
yeah, I grew up in like a bluegrass household. Weirdly,
Nice.
like all my, like I'm technically a third generation bluegrasser. So like a lot of stuff, even now in our music, I hear like a lot of the harmonies are totally like bluegrass based, which is weird.
Nice.
But it's like totally where it comes from, because
Right.
a lot of those, I think a lot of the thing that I do is I try to find like almost like pedal tones. Like I try to sing as few notes as possible, and let Russ do like the actual melody moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, it's not weird for rock at all, but I hear it. Like anytime we write any harmonies or have any harmonies, like I can totally draw a line straight back from our current music all the way back to me being a little kid and like watching my dad and his band rehearse in my grandma's living room. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was obviously supposed to be a guitarist because my dad was a guitarist.
Right.
And so I tried that out, and dad taught me some stuff. But I made it until I was like 13. And see, so he fucked up and played me the Beatles because he loved the Beatles. So like, if he's mad about me not being a bluegrass guy, he really has no one to blame but himself, because he would like pull out the White Album and, he had it on vinyl. So we would listen to all that. And he would say, check this out. This is cool. This is cool. And then he showed me the Beatles anthology, and I saw Ringo doing the fucking like bread and butter, his hi-hats, and it was kind of over. So as soon as I turned 13, I wanted a drum kit. And then as soon as I could figure out that I was like, okay, so I had this down.
Right.
At a day, and then the next day I came back and I figured out that I could go like, it's like, oh shit! Immediately something went off in my brain, and I was like, I'm gonna get fucking laid. Like at 13, I was wholly like, this is my identity. This is everything. Like this is what's gonna help. And then it turns out that I was still just like an overweight child that played trumpet in the band. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of grew out of that. But honestly, and I know this is weird to say, but like drums aren't really what like does it for me anymore. Really what gets me going and keeps me like excited about playing is writing songs and having good original music. You know, like I totally am not worried about showing off anymore. Because for a long time I was very much like, look what I can do.
Right.
And now I'm just not interested in that anymore. I'm very much like, fucking, I can't wait till we get to this chorus, you know, because like people are really enjoying it. So it definitely started off as like, look what I can do. And it's turned into like, listen to our song.
Right.
You know what I mean? Look what we've done. Look what we've built together. So.
Right. Because that honestly, that's more challenging.
I think so. Well, it just takes
you know,
a level of maturity that you don't have when you're like 18, 19. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you get up on stage and you're playing, and if anybody's into it, like it's fucking over at that point for you. Like if you're 19 and there's like a pretty girl in the front row that's like headbanging or vibing, it's fucking over. It's not about your band anymore. It's just about like, oh my God,
right,
my dick is huge. That kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like so you have to be a little bit more like mature, I think. And the bands that figure that out quickly are the ones that seem to like go further.
Right.
The ones that figure out that it's really about like you as a unit and your songs, and not about you as much.
So now, wait a minute. Did you say you got into this for the chicks? Because that's the same answer I gave. Right?
Right? It's fucking crazy. Yeah, dude, I know. Yeah. I think every musician has to start there, but it's good because it helps you grow, right?
See, that wasn't me, man. I wasn't that.
You were just into it for the caterwauling? Like,
yeah, man. I was a loud
He
kid.
just likes to roll around on the floor.
yeah,
kind of, man. Like I was
in
one of
it
those
for the
kids,
floor
like,
dust.
I mean, you know, like I was like jumping around, going crazy, you know, jumping around the couches and stuff when like Tool albums were coming out, like Anima, and you know, you had like STP, like Tiny Music, Chili. Yeah, like I was like, I was like a bananas kid when that was coming out, and I was like, oh man. And then Anthony Kiedis kind of inspired me a lot, like as a front man, you know. And then I saw a bunch of live Chili Peppers videos. I was like, damn, Kiedis can't sing. and you know, then you know, I guess vocally, you know, I don't. I guess like more like soul music inspires me as a vocalist. Ozzy, come on, you know, like Ozzy is like the dude. I mean, Cornell, Staley, Weiland, you know, like so STP, Allison Chains, Soundgarden, you know,
Axl Rose.
Yeah, I mean, Axl could do his thing, you know, but Kyle tries to push me to do that like high falsetto thing, and I got it in the bag, but man, I don't know. My voice is like,
you got it in the bag in here, but not in here.
Yeah, it's not in my heart.
It's not in your heart.
Like I like sound like rah.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Tough guy,
I understand. Now, that is one thing I noticed about you is that like you're very much like in the moment when you sing. Like, it's very much like this one note is all that matters. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's different because it's you know, usually like lyrics not a concern. What you're saying not a concern, but it's like, how can I make this one note have the most impact and sound as good as it can, which is a good thing, you know, and I think that's part of what makes you a good singer.
I'd say Ozzy is probably my biggest like singing influence, probably between Ozzy and Sam Cooke, you know, somewhere James Brown.
I hear more soul stuff in because when you just like are fucking around and singing like whatever you're doing at the moment, because you do that a lot.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
very
yeah.
much like rolling the mic cable, like whatever's happening at the time. That's what you're doing.
I'm the narrator of my own life.
Of your own life, yeah,
Yeah. And
exactly.
it's a musical.
Yeah, a very, very profane musical. It's I hear more of the soul stuff in your voice than I hear Ozzy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of the movements, and also the weird thing is
Staley,
Staley's there. But the thing about there's something about your voice that was really hard to figure out how to sing with. Is that like most singers? Okay, if you imagine a highway and that highway is the note A, there's 4 lanes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And technically, any 4 of the lanes is an A, right? Like you've got some wiggle room, like a couple of cents up or down.
He's talking like how wide the note is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You've got room to where you're like technically you're not sharp, but you're still sitting. You're still singing the note. So what was difficult to sing with is kind of like, even if you hit a note and it's a little bit sharp or it's a little bit flat, most singers will try to correct, or they're kind of like fishtailing, doing this like around the note, not vibrato, but like just trying to kind of like
Right.
Trying to find that note.
Yeah.
So what Russ does, and it's really difficult to sing with, or it was at first, I'm kind of used to it now, but like even if you hit a note and it's like 10 cents flat, like you will stay 10 cents flat, like dead on, right? And it's tough to sing harmony with that because I have to do the same shit. Like, I have to sing also 10 cents flat, the harmony, and then not move.
You have to adjust accordingly.
Yeah. But it took a while, and a lot.
But I'm
of it helped.
consistent in my sharps and my flats generally.
Yeah,
Like
generally.
it's the same notes every time.
Yeah. That does help because I can kind of go on
You can
autopilot.
practice it.
And
You can practice with me
It
singing off
can
key.
it can be replicated.
And take this as a lesson, kids. Tone is more important than pitch.
Ooh, I don't know if I agree with that.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
Like, you got to be somewhere close. You know what I mean? You can't be like I did say Kiedis is definitely not a singer, man. And that's the thing. I guess I'll say that. I mean, I'm tangenting, which I spoke to Kyle and said I'm definitely a tangent.
Oh yeah,
He is too. Cool.
Yes.
But no, I like the Chili Peppers up until like Californication, and then they tried to make Anthony Kiedis a singer. And it's like, no, he's kind of like, boop, you know what I mean? Like he's not, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What's Anthony Kiedis like? Like
California.
like
Something
reggae
California.
R2D2.
No,
It's like,
I mean,
Wow.
they had some cool lyrics and stuff back in the day. I mean, you know, they
I like,
no, he's a great
Fleet's
lyricist.
great,
Yeah.
you know.
Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Oh,
That was-
That
Yeah,
album is
yeah.
fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Which I think that's the perfect combination of like what Kiedis can do best.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
like that album
Absolutely.
is totally in his fucking wheelhouse, and probably like Mother's Milk as well.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's-
Mother's
that's-
Milk,
that's
and
the same kind
you
of
know,
thing.
One Hot Minute, man. People sleep on One Hot Minute, but that is a kick-ass album.
Yeah.
That's a great record.
So we haven't done this yet tonight, but are there any questions like what's going on in the comments?
Yeah. Let's bring up some comments here. See what we
Yeah.
got. We got, of course, we got the Knowles.
Somebody's
Knowles
just like
is
Knowles
here.
fan.
Oh yeah, I'm a Knowles fan. I boost the baseball.
Well, that too. So
team. God, see me?
I have family in the chat.
Carefully.
Oh,
And he says he's impressed.
Nice.
Tammy says, looking good. Rad.
Woo-hoo.
Radical.
Can we
Rad
get it? Oh, a
Studio.
sample. Okay.
All right.
But I
It's,
think,
Yeah.
it's
I
distant.
think
and
that was
I,
before we played I think that was before we played that sample.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was. I had to
Yeah.
scroll back a little bit.
oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
What else we got?
I read that wrong from his far
Oh
away.
boy. Here we go.
What's wrong with the Beatles?
No, nothing's wrong.
No,
No.
I misunderstood what you said.
Yeah. No, absolutely nothing's wrong with the Beatles. What happened is that like I was definitely on like this bluegrass path, and then my dad, who also liked the Beatles, played me the Beatles, and I was like, okay, I'm not doing the bluegrass thing now. I'm doing rock. So I had a very similar experience to I think a lot of musicians that kind of came up in the 60s and 70s, where there was like a definite moment before they saw the Beatles
Mhm.
and a moment after. And the after sort of like dramatically altered the trajectory of their fate.
Right.
And that's what happened with me. I love the Beatles. They're one of my favorite bands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean harmonies. I mean White Album and the Abbey Road suite at the end, like beat
Oh,
The
yeah.
B-side of the record. Man,
For
those are just
clarification,
amazing.
what you said was
Amazing.
he fucked up.
Yes, he
But-
He denied the
Yes.
expectations of his father.
It's
Yeah.
one of those things.
He disappointed
It's
dad.
one of those things where it's like you don't fuck that now.
Yeah, you played me the Beatles.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna be a rock and roll
Yeah,
drummer.
Now this shit's
And,
your fucking
and
fault.
you're not.
Right. Yeah,
you're not
exactly.
gonna. You're gonna
Exactly.
deviate from the bluegrass path. Huh?
Yeah. That's what happened. Like, so nothing wrong with the Beatles other than they fucked up my entire life. And now
You could have been a doctor, man.
I could have been a doctor, but now I'm a recording engineer. So shit got sideways. I had dreams.
We
You're
got
probably living your dream. You're the
No, I
closest
am.
guy to living the musical dream.
No, I totally am. I definitely have those moments because I live in Bainbridge, so I commute back
Okay.
and
Oh
forth.
shit.
Oh wow.
So
You
I
live in
definitely,
Bainbridge?
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
fuck.
I
man.
love Bainbridge. It's
Well, I mean,
great.
no, there's nothing wrong with Bainbridge. I mean, that's a hell of a commute.
So what do you? Is there something wrong with Bainbridge?
what's wrong with Bainbridge?
It's an hour and a half.
Man, there's a lot wrong with Bainbridge.
What's
I'm
going
sitting here
on
like,
with
man,
Bainbridge?
Bainbridge sucks. But
No, other than the fact
I mean, I
that
would say they're cool people, but there's not much to do. in
Bainbridge is
Bainbridge.
coming up.
We used
like-
to practice there, man.
Yeah,
It's like,
we did. But Bainbridge is coming up. Like we've got a nice restaurant now.
oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, check out the
Yeah.
restaurant.
No, you know what it is? I've had a lot of people come up and they'll be in my studio, like my little home studio thing, and they'll be like, "It's quiet here. It's so quiet here." Like they're not used to like the chillness of Bainbridge. You know what I mean? Is someone talking shit about
No. We got Tragic in the chat, and I would have to say I agree with him a little bit right there. I'm just
Beatles
saying.
suck.
Beatles suck. Oh,
But-
no, man.
But what?
How tall is Jeremy Taylor?
I like the Stones and the Beatles, though. There's always that thing. Do you like the
Yeah.
Stones? Do you like the Beatles? I like both.
It's both. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, man. I like.
So, Jeremy.
Yes, Robert. My
Yes.
dad did teach me the love of music, but he ruined me for being a bluegrass guy. Like I was from the moment I heard the Beatles on, because that drew a direct line from like Beatles. Then I found Zeppelin, and then this bullshit happened. Where is it? Right there. So like I'm like a Bonham freak, So there was definitely no going back after that.
Well, and my stepdad also had an influence on me as a kid.
Oh, totally,
He was a
yeah.
musician, and we had a music store. Like I grew up teaching guitar lessons and
Yeah.
stuff, like in
Nice.
Moultrie.
Oh wow.
No
Okay.
shit.
Yeah, and my stepdad actually has like this cult classic, like super collectible vinyl. The band is called Skyros, Skyeros, I think.
Mhm.
It's like a highly collectible, like super expensive vinyl. It's like $1,000 or something like that.
Wow.
But yeah, they did like a private pressing in Missouri and stuff, and did some
Wow, that's pretty cool.
extensive touring, and they're like, I mean, it's like rural rock,
Yeah.
mid-70s rural rock stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, your main guitar was his guitar.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That Strat I have,
Yeah.
that he gave to me.
Which that's the fattest fucking Stratocaster I've ever heard in my life. Like it's crazy. Most of the rhythm guitar on our record is that Strat going straight into a Vox, no pedals or anything.
Damn.
Wow.
And then that goes out to a Mesa Boogie 412 cab.
Wow.
It's just nuts. Like, I mean, part of it too is the way you play. Like, I think a lot of guitarists overlook that, and they kind of like go a little crazy with like, well, I need this pedal or this amp or whatever. But it's like, dude, if you can't fucking hit an A and it sounds mean as shit, then like that's your first thing that you need to address. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no amount of distortion is gonna make your A sound like, Angus
Clean.
Young and clean and badass if it doesn't sound badass with you just walking into a room unplugged with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's like the other half of the equation is that the way you attack the guitar like gets a good tone out of it. But I mean, I've played that guitar and there is like a lot more fatness in it versus other Strats. No offense to other Stratocasters, but they can all eat a dick.
To your point, the joke is, every guitarist, the moment whenever it's clear they haven't done their homework, the first fucking thing they say is, "Oh, the sound isn't working for me." the sound totally isn't working for me, which is another way of saying you haven't done your goddamn homework.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I mean, there is like a part of it where I think if you're getting like an uninspiring tone back from the instrument, like that can fuck with you,
Mhm.
but like you'll still be able to do it.
Yep.
Right. Like nothing's going to stop you from it. I think it's like a confidence loop. sort of, you know what I mean? Like
Definitely.
you put energy into the guitar expecting to get a certain amount of energy back. And if that's not matching correctly, like
Okay.
the circuit doesn't complete, right? It's the
Right.
same sort of flow that happens between a band and a crowd, right? Like if you play in front of a crowd who's just pretty much fucking dead fishing, like there's only so much because you
Right.
keep putting
Yeah,
this
your
energy
energy,
out,
you don't-
and
you don't get the
anything
return,
back,
yeah.
right?
Right.
So it's the same thing with tone, I think, in a lot of respects. So, but you're right. Like 90% of the time, it's just like you don't know the song.
Yeah.
That's what you're
Right.
saying. I
Yeah.
got it. I understand. Yeah.
So what is one band that you guys don't like?
Ooh.
Oh man, I
Greta
mean,
fucking Van Fleet.
oh yeah. I mean,
Yes.
I can name you a lot
Yes,
of bands I
thank
don't
you.
like.
Yeah, you've hit on you
Yeah, Greta
trigger
Van
warning.
Fleet.
Like
Yeah.
you've hit Russ's soft spot.
no, I mean, yeah, I mean, it sounds cliche, but I don't know, man.
I'm so ready for it because I know like a million. That
I
you
do
hate,
too, man. I'm sitting
but I
here,
can't. I'm
and I
like, where's he
don't,
going?
you know, I'm like immediately compelled to say Nickelback, but
Go for it.
you know, it's like I know they're like much like more prolific bands that I think are super overrated.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I
Right.
probably don't hate them. You know, I don't know, man.
No,
I'm immediately compelled to say Nickelback, but
well,
I mean, like, you know, I don't like any of that Imagine Dragons or any of that
Okay.
garbage.
right.
You know,
No, that's pretty safe. You can
you
you
know, I'm
can rail
not
on
vibing
them.
with that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I'm
Like,
not a Greta Van Fleet fan.
I mean,
myself.
Greta Van Fleet is just a recycle. Greta Van Fleet is just recycled Led Zeppelin 1, but worse. You know what I mean?
Okay, so there was definitely a moment where I was like okay with them as a band.
Well, I like what they're
Well-
doing. They're bringing ears, hopefully, to Led Zeppelin.
Like
I don't
I'm not fucking worried about any of that. If Zeppelin doesn't need any help,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, but what happened was they did their first like EP came out and I listened to it and obviously it's like, oh, this is Zeppelin. I get it, fine, but it's kind of cool and the songs were all right. But then they did this Rolling Stones interview where they got asked about their influences, right? And not one fucking time did they say like, oh, we fucking love Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin's the best. They were all just like, just, you know, the 70s, just blues rock. Like, fuck you guys. Like, you listen to Led Zeppelin. And then you were like, this is cool. Like we all did. It's okay. You can just say we like Led Zeppelin.
Right.
And we want to play. It's fine to say that. You don't have to be all like, well, we're like blues rock. You know, we're just heavily influenced by the blues. No, you're fucking not, man. You're like 17 years old. You don't know shit about shit except for Led Zeppelin 2, which you're doing a fantastic job playing, but don't fucking lie. Don't lie to me.
That would be the equivalent of a Metallica cover band saying that their favorite band is Megadeth.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't hate them. I wish, and there's a general thing that I have with bands that are like trying to do Zeppelin. Like they go out and they write their own original music in the style of Zeppelin. And I think that's a fine learning experiment. But I think at some point you have to sort of like forge your own path.
Mhm.
I think at a certain point you have to say like, we're writing this music because we like it.
Definitely.
Not because it sounds like Zeppelin or
Not because
you
it
know.
sounds like something that will garner a bunch of fans.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
not that you don't, you know, you try to make your fans happy, but you have to write your music from your own experience.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Not to satisfy someone else's need, you know, because
Right.
people are somewhat common. I mean, you know, our record is really a lot about the corruption in society, how everything is stacked against the little guy,
Mhm.
kind of.
see,
you
that's
know.
the thing, because it's not about that for me. But that's a whole other
That's
thing.
what it's about to me. man.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
which
Right. But see, I'm only coming from my own experience, which was like when I was 17, I found Zeppelin. So the magical moment for me was I had made it to 17 years old without hearing Stairway to Heaven at all somehow. And so my friend played it for me. And, you know, this is like 4 minutes of no drums.
Right.
And for whatever reason, I was like, well, if I was playing the drums, I would want the drums to come in here. So I kind of like played along. And that's when Bonham came in. And it was kind of like I accidentally nailed the fill the first time I heard it. It was like complete serendipity. There's nothing special about it.
Right.
But like, to me, it was like a big thing. for 17. So I was like complete Bonham freak. Like I had the big kick drum and I wanted all of his cymbals. I wanted to play all of it. And for a while, like all I wanted to be was Bonham.
Yes.
Which I think is like an admirable goal for any
Yeah,
drummer
it is.
because like, you know, you shoot for the moon, you land amongst the stars. But eventually what I started to realize, and it was some of the older drummers in town that I had kind of gotten to know, they were like, oh yeah, you're the kid who can play all the Zeppelin stuff. And it was kind of like that was becoming my musical identity. And it wasn't me. It was, oh, you play like Bonham, right? Which is a nice compliment, but it's not me, right? And so by the time that happened, I was like 23, 24. So then I immediately started not trying to purposely get away from Bonham, but I definitely tried to start consciously forging my own sort of identity. And it took a little while, but the reason I'm saying all that is because I think that's what's happening to bands like Greta Van Fleet. Like, I think they're just so enamored with Zeppelin, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But at a certain point, you've got to listen to the people who are saying, like, do your own thing.
Do your own thing.
Like, you know, like
come up with your own sound.
Right. Yeah. Be your own band, not some amalgamation or imitation of what you think is the best band ever, because you're not going to play like Zeppelin. You're just not. You're not Jimmy Page. You're not John Bonham.
But then again, I can't help but wonder how much of that is on purpose. You know, we all, you know, from a guitar standpoint, we all have our influences and everything. I'm a big Dime fan, for example.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that if you were to hear my music, you'd probably hear a little bit.
Of course.
Right. You're
But
definitely going to hear
You're not going to hear fucking Pantera in my band.
Right. No, we wrote this new song.
Well, you're not going to hear "I'm
Talk."
Broken" with like one note change.
Right.
In the
Yeah.
I mean, with the same tone and all that. Yeah, I mean,
And I hope what they can do as a band, because they are talented. Like, I've seen some of their live performances, and as like musicians, they are really good. Like, not knocking them, not taking anything away from them. They can do it. The guy can sing live like that. They can all play like that. It's not a Pro Tools record at all, but they've got to forge their own identity. They have to. And I've seen little glimpses of them trying to do that. It's not necessarily something that I like, but I'm at least happy. It seems like they're starting to get away from that. So, all right.
We had some comments on this question. Bands that people don't like.
Jeremy, you got it?
Yeah, I got a few right here. We got Tragic with Five Finger Flute Punch, whatever that shit is.
I agree with that.
Five Finger Death Punch. Totally agree.
Yeah, I think they're a tad overrated.
A little bit.
And Disturbed. Yeah, I've never been a.
No, that's a band joke for us. We always go around saying, "Wow!"
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like we do that all the time.
Yeah,
that's.
I agree. And who said Disturbed?
Cat Mungle.
Okay. I agree with
that person. Yeah.
Yeah, when I heard that Greta Van shit, I was like, "What the fuck?" Now, what's next? A Tallahassee band saying they're from Orlando?
Yeah.
I actually have some interesting context for that, because
Creed?
not a lot of people know this about Creed.
Yes.
Like, yes, they're from Tallahassee, but that whole thing about them coming from Orlando, that didn't come from them. That came from Wind Up Records.
Mm-hmm.
Wind Up Records said, like, you can't be from Tallahassee. You have to be from Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
It was definitely, like, Creed gets a lot of shit, and, John's like my mentor. So it's kind of one of those things where he's told me a lot of the sort of behind the scenes stuff that happened. And that was a total Wind Up decision. Wind Up fucked Tallahassee, not Creed.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, because look, they were a good band. I mean, they wrote good songs. Like, you can't take that away from them. What happened to them that got them all twisted and sideways was, Creed didn't know they were going to be that big. They had no fucking idea. So imagine that you're 20, 21 years old, and you have that like cocksure thing in yourself where you're like, I'm going to be a fucking rock star, like 100%. And then it happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Oops.
Yeah.
Now what?
Now again, you're completing that loop of these 19-year-olds, cocksure, and everybody's fucking stupid at 19, right? So they imagine that they're going to be famous, sort of accidentally become famous, and then it sort of like just ate them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like most bands, John told me that one of the guys in Creed told him that one of the Creed guys said, like, if we would have known how difficult it actually is for most bands, we wouldn't have made it. They were just had this naive sort of like self-assuredness that they were going to, and then it happened.
Yeah.
Right. So when they got signed, for whatever reason at that time, and it may still be this way, but it wasn't cool to be from a smaller town.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Along those same lines, another wind-up band, Social Burn from
Mhm.
Bluntstown.
Yeah,
I never once heard them say that they're from Bluntstown. It
exactly.
was always Tallahassee. Now,
Right.
granted, Bluntstown is an extremely small town.
Right.
That's
That's another John band. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's that same kind of thing. I think a lot of the reason that, and I can't confirm this, but my suspicion is that like a lot of the reason that happened with Social Burn is because of what happened with the Creed, Tallahassee, Orlando kind of triangle.
Right.
That like Tallahassee definitely felt a little bit, or not a little bit, like a lot disenfranchised. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure.
Oh,
Still
yeah.
does.
It pisses
Yeah.
a lot of people off.
Yeah, it does. And the band themselves weren't really in a position at that point to like stand up to the record company and say
Right.
like, no, we're from Tallahassee,
Yeah.
right? Like that. I'm sure if they were like on their third record, or they were like our age and had been through stuff, if a record company came and said like, hey, we're going to give you this much money, but you have to say you're from Orlando, we'd
Yeah.
probably be like, why?
Yeah.
Well, like, what's the deal? But again, if you're 19, 20, and you know they're like, sign this contract and we're going to give you like $1 million, like at that point you're like, fuck yeah, sure, I'm from Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah, I'm from Dubai, I don't give a shit.
I don't give a fuck. Is this ink still wet on this check?
Yeah. So I mean, some of the sort of like, because you know, you said Nickelback, and Creed gets a lot of that hate too. That same sort of like hate, where it's almost like
It's like directed hate, like
Yeah, it is.
like
Yeah.
fan,
Yeah.
like there are like fan groups to hate these bands. Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like,
I mean, Corn sucks. I don't like Corn.
see, I
There's
like
another one.
Korn.
Yeah, I do
like
not
Korn.
like
I am
Korn.
not a Fieldy fan. I cannot.
Not Fieldy.
Man, I just don't like their songs. I guess. Don't get me wrong. That first record was okay. The second one had
Untouchables was fucking
the
amazing.
Corn got really weird there.
Yeah, they
you
did.
know,
They
like
kind of did.
you know that was.
Yeah.
That's not really my thing.
Again, it's a half and half kind of thing. It's like it's
But their earlier stuff was better for sure.
well, you want a band to like mature and grow and
Exactly.
evolve, right? But the flip side of that is like you don't want them to grow and evolve so much that you don't like them anymore, and then suddenly you're like a fucking Star Wars fanboy. You know what I mean? Where like you hate the prequels for this reason or whatever. But I mean, like the art has to develop, like it has to grow. It may not grow into something that you like. Okay, so great example is Weezer.
Mm.
They were, you know, like Weezer 90, Blue Album, Green Album kind of stuff, right? And then that's how I knew them. But my wife, who is a little bit younger than me, she knows them from like Beverly Hills, like
Okay,
all
yeah.
that era
Yeah.
of Weezer, right? Now that led her back now to where she kind of prefers their earlier stuff.
Right.
But Korn, I'm sure, is like that for some people. Like there's people like my age who remember Untouchables record, but there's probably some people who came in at like Twisted Transistor
Transistor, yeah.
times and sort of like
Yeah.
that was
Right,
their
right,
gateway.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, you kind of have to respect a band that tries to grow, even if they're not growing in a direction that you want them to. At least they're not like
Stagnant.
Yes,
They're not doing
or they've
releasing the
become-
same record over and over and
Yeah,
over
they've
again.
become like the best tribute band that you could ever
And that
imagine.
happens to them all,
Yeah.
unfortunately. You know, the Stones are a tribute to the Stones.
Yeah,
now, and,
yeah.
you know, Aerosmith is a tribute to Aerosmith.
You know, that reminds me of some shit. And I don't know if you guys ever remember this, but this little band called Metallica.
Yeah.
yeah,
They did
no,
the same goddamn thing. dude.
yeah,
absolutely.
I was that
100%.
long-haired kid in high school with the Kill 'Em All patch on the back of my jean jacket, and then,
Yeah.
then the Black album came out, and everybody's like, "Hey, dude, you hear Metallica?" I'm like, you fucking assholes used to, chase me down the parking lot for wearing this shit. And now
Right.
you're all about it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Well, and for me, Ride the Lightning, to me, that's my ultimate Metallica experience. I just love Ride the Lightning for some reason. Like that one does it for me.
Yeah, it's a good record. It's
Yeah.
mixed like shit, but
Yeah,
it's,
it is.
but it's a good
But
record.
the songs are
No,
great.
the songs are great. Again, that's the case of like it still comes back down to like the songs. Like if the songs are great, it doesn't really matter what you do
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
It stays like there. I would really love to hear, and I don't think it's possible to hear anymore because the master tapes have been like destroyed.
Oh, they're in that fire.
No, it was just like they're just old tapes that weren't taken care of. They were like 24 track like tapes that just weren't properly cared for. But I always wish that there was either like and there may be one, a remaster of that
there is.
record where they like actually attempt to bring some bass out of it, but it's going to be difficult because you've got like Hetfield like steadily sucking up 100 hertz. So like there's not a lot of room to come in with a remaster. But I read an interview with the guy who recorded that record, and when they went to mix it, he kind of like in those days, the sort of like typical thing to do was let the engineer sort of like get a basic fader balance, and then the band kind of comes in and starts tweaking. They make a rough mix, and either that's what they go with, or they send it off to someone else to mix it, right?
Yeah.
And Lars came in with like he had like on a piece of paper, he had like, well, my kick drum sounds good if you do like this.
Yeah.
And this and this, and so everybody else in the band kind of went away, and Lars and the engineer just stayed there and fucked with it
That would
until
have been Rasmussen, I believe.
I think so. I don't remember the guy's name. I just remember reading the interview because I got into that era of Metallica, and that's like the joke about that record is like, yeah, there's no bass, but it's a cool record. But there could have been at a certain point in time like a remix of it that was a little bit. I mean, look, everybody's like releasing remasters and 20th anniversary editions, and like this is what it sounded like when James played the song on the shitter. And it's like, cool, alternate. That's a great take. You can really hear the emotion.
You really feel the bathroom.
Yeah, you can feel the bathroom. Yeah, and so there was a point where that could have happened, but I don't think the interest was there from the fans or from the band.
Absolutely.
Like by the time that could have happened, Newstead was kind of already starting to be out of the band.
Yep.
I feel bad for that guy.
Yep.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, he got a rough deal.
Him and anybody who wasn't John Fogerty that was in CCR.
Good segue, Russ.
I don't know, man. I'm just thinking about people I feel sorry for in the music industry. Free Britney, free Britney.
No, I still feel I still feel bad for the Bittersweet Symphony guys.
Oh yeah, wow, that
Got a
is rough.
rap. Which I mean, that kind of got rectified. I think some royalties were reassigned to them. Yeah.
Are you talking
We got
about
any-
all the times that the music was played in movies?
Well, that, but
The Stones sued him.
yeah. Well, the Stones manager sued him.
Oh.
The Stones really didn't have anything to do with him.
Right.
It was like a seedy lawyer type guy. That fucked them over because they did everything right. Like they asked for permission to use all those loops and samples and
shit.
everything. Yeah, they asked and they were approved. Everything was fine,
Right.
and then it became a big hit. And this lawyer was like, "Hey, wait! I managed the Stones when they recorded that song,
Right.
which was then recorded by Andrew Loog Oldham." Which it's fucked up. They got screwed. They got screwed so hard. And I'm still pissed about it. Sorry. Brought up some stuff. Brought up some stuff.
You disappointed your father when you deviated.
I know. Well, I'd be talking about like Bill Monroe's royalties now. And then somewhere in an alternate universe, I've just got on like what do they call it? Like a bolo and like a cowboy hat. And I'm just like, the thing about Bill Monroe, like that.
So you're a higher voice Sam Elliott?
Yeah. In an alternate
hilarious.
universe somewhere that's happening right now. And I feel sorry for that guy. And he probably feels sorry for me. But, whatever.
We got some new comments, Jeremy?
Yeah, let's see what we got up in the chat here. So we got a little Josh. Jade, I'll let you read these.
Oh, okay. I love Creed. They had some good songs. I chased True. I can't.
Here, I can read it.
I can't read it from here. I'm not reading
I,
glasses.
I love Creed. They had great songs.
Oh, there we
I
go.
chased Tremonti's Tone off of Cuban Clay album for years growing up. Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking Mark Tremonti is a goddamn guitar god,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It was-
his tone is fantastic.
The sort of like special sauce with Creed was Stapp and Tremonti together
Mhm.
writing. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like Tremonti was like riff, and you can still hear that in Alter Bridge because
Yes.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you
like
can.
they have great riffs, but the songs aren't as good,
Right.
right? And then when
Right.
you listen to like Stapp without Tremonti, like the lyrics are still okay,
Right.
but like the music's not there.
Yep.
You know, they were definitely this sort of like
Together.
It was a special
yeah.
song.
this alchemy
That's a
that
really
came
good way of
together.
putting it.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
There's a lot of that, like in bands.
Definitely.
You'll find that there are people that can kind of come in and out, but there are other people that need to stay.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, for,
Core, your core has
yes,
to kind of stay
exactly.
together.
Your core has to stay
Your
together.
creative core, I guess, really more than anything.
Which that's the thing. I felt like you and I kind of had that, but then Hunter completed like the other third of
The Triforce.
of the Triforce of
Right.
like where we come from creatively. You know what I mean? And I don't think it would work the same without any one of us.
Well, and Dave, you know, the newest addition, our guitarist Dave, he's actually probably our next single is going to be Dave's.
Yes, Dave's
Like
song.
Dave wrote the song. I mean, and then we get in the studio and then we edit it and we, you know, it
Right.
came without lyrics, so we're writing lyrics to it. You know, we'll get like a rough sketch of what the song's like, and then we'll take it home and we'll all listen to it. And you know, Kyle and I will usually be the ones who come up with some lyrics, and we start kind of, you
Right.
know, vibing off each other and seeing where the song is going.
Most of our songs end up being like that, where
Yeah.
either like I'll do a verse and a chorus, or Russ will come in with a piece, and it's like whatever the other person doesn't have,
Yeah.
that's what we do, and
Right.
we kind of fill it out.
It's cool that you can compliment each other like
Yeah,
that.
It's
absolutely.
really lucky
Yeah,
because
yeah, it's serendipitous too.
Wow.
you know, you said the thing earlier about how the record is about corruption and fighting for the little guy and all that for you. But for me, the record, and I actually looked up this word. Do you guys watch 8 out of 10 Cats at all? It's this show from Britain.
Mhm.
It's like a game show kind of thing. But for whatever reason, because they're British, they have what's called Dictionary Corner. It's like word games that all these sort of famous comedians play. So they have Dictionary Corner. If you come up with a word, like you have to consult Dictionary Corner to make sure it's not actually some bullshit that you made up. So the person who does that is named Susie Dent, and I follow her on Twitter. And she's like, I don't know what her title is, but like she went to school for like words.
Wow.
Like her whole thing is words.
Linguistics.
I guess, but it's not linguistics as much as it is like, well, maybe that is linguistics. This is me probably admitting I don't know what linguistics is. Anyway, some truths are coming out. So she will share these like little known or forgotten words like each week, and one of the words that she shared it's called respair, and it's from the 16th century, and it's like respair, and it's like this feeling of acceptance that you have after something really horrible happens, right?
Mhm.
Like you kind of accept the situation and you're starting to come out
The
of it,
opposite
and-
of despair.
right,
Like respair, almost like repair.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like a lot. So like a lot of the stuff that I write on the record, that's where it came from me. Because I just think that's a really interesting place to write about and from. Is like, I think a lot of people write about, you know, like they're heartbroken or they're angry or they're sad or they're scared or whatever. But I don't think many people write from the place of like, yes, all that shit happened, but I'm still here and I'm kind of moving on. Right. Like,
Right.
like,
And I'm sure everybody sitting here has probably been there one way or another.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it seemed like the whole world was broken, but
Absolutely.
you just kind of soldier through it.
right.
And I mean, you know, you could, a person could, you know, end their life early, you know, voluntarily. But I mean, that's if you just wait
You
it
just
out.
wait it out,
There are
stick to it,
good
keep
things.
trying.
There are
There's
generally
stuff
good
that
things that
happens,
will
yeah.
come out at some other point in your life.
Right.
You know.
And so like that's where a lot of our record is for me. You know what I mean? Is
Yeah.
it's coming from that feeling. And the fact that like you're writing a verse from that perspective and I'm writing a verse from this other perspective, it's
Right.
amazing that it can even be cohesive. I mean, it might not be. I'm not saying that it is, but it feels cohesive to me. But I also, even out of the verses that you write that aren't about that, I still get that same feeling out of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm pretty big on like not talking about what our songs are about. I tell the story all the time about Rooster, the Allison Chain
Yes.
song. Like I had no idea what that song was about for a long time.
It's not his dad, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't know that for 10 years.
Yeah.
I just loved the song.
Right.
And over the course of this decade, I had built up this story in my head of what it meant to me.
Man, that's music though.
Yeah.
God damn, that's music.
100%.
And it kind of ruined it for me when I found out later that it was about his dad. I'm not saying that it makes the song not as good. It still kicks ass. I mean, we play it.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But I hesitate to say anything further than like, this is what I was feeling when we wrote this.
Right.
Right.
Because I don't want to fuck
You
somebody
don't
up.
want to take away that.
I don't want to take
Exactly.
away somebody's experience.
Yeah.
It's kind of a downside of like songwriter circles is it's almost like part of the deal where it's like, well, I wrote this song about,
Right.
my dog. And like you kind of have to just banter
Yeah.
and tell what
Yeah.
it's about. But that takes away a
Some
lot of
mystique.
it takes away a lot of the magic for me.
Yeah.
For me. So I don't want to do that to anyone else.
Well, you
That
know,
makes sense.
like Sleeper Cell to me in particularly is about how like I was just feeling crushed, like in the middle. You know how sometimes life is like you got bills to pay,
Right.
you got limited time, you got to do
Yeah.
this thing, and you don't have any time to complete anything that you have to, and you're like in this mad dash to. That's how that.
That
I
song
don't
was
know.
written over the course of like 4 years too.
Yeah.
Like it existed as a verse
A demo.
chorus, and then there was a bridge that I don't think we play anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like that for a year, and then we got to put it on a shelf. And then when we went to go do this record, we pulled it back out and kind of worked on it for a couple of hours, and then John worked on it some more, and then it
Well,
kinda,
he kind of helped you alter the drum part.
oh
on
right,
Sleeper Cell.
yeah,
Like, if you
yeah,
listen
yeah.
to
It wasn't
Sleeper
like
Cell,
that originally.
which, if you want to hear our music, you can hear it at yourcaptainspeakingmusic.com. And you can check out, I mean, we're on all the major platforms. I think we have links to Spotify, Apple,
Mhm.
YouTube, all that
YouTube,
stuff. But
YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be pinning that in.
Yeah,
as a
it's,
top comment, too.
Yeah.
yep. And yeah, if you check it out, like Sleeper Cell was like a more straight drum beat in the, like when we showed up to the studio with John, and then John had Kyle do this like really, how would you describe
It's
that?
like it's
choppy
like
kinda.
police.
Yeah, it's
Do you know what I
choppy,
mean?
kinda
Like that.
like
Like the same basic accents are still there, but it's more like the police than it originally was. Like it was originally more like a break beat, almost like a slowed down break beat. And it took a while to figure it out. Not in the studio went pretty quickly because you only have to get it like once,
Right.
Mm.
you know.
Right.
But live, it took a little time to like make that translate. But yeah, that song came together with the help of a lot of different people, and it definitely started out as that sense of like crush, because I felt that too when we first wrote
Yeah.
it, you know.
Right.
well, because that's when that song started. That was
2016.
I
Yeah.
was feeling
Yep. It was rough.
It's really cool whenever you have a song and it starts as this, and you can't really put it all together for whatever reason.
Right.
It gets put on the shelf, and then something happens and it gets brought back, and it gets this whole new life.
Yeah.
to it.
right.
Yeah.
And it's this whole new thing now. It's this whole, maybe even different for better or for worse.
Right.
In some cases.
Right,
But it
right,
has
right.
a whole new life of its own now.
Yeah. Self-editing
absolutely.
is the most difficult part, but that
Yes.
makes it easier because when you bring it back down off the shelf, you're
Yeah.
kind of listening with fresh ears.
Definitely.
Yeah.
See, and Kyle and I had the conversation. Kyle's our primary editor.
Right.
I mean, a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
tell
like
everyone
Hunter
they
comes up
suck.
with like a lot of bass stuff. Like he'll come up with grooves and stuff on bass. And I write a lot of songs. I show up with like notes of like vocal
Right.
lines or like me with acoustic guitar. I mean, because I do play a good bit of guitar. I mean, I used to play a lot more on guitar. But
We definitely tried to transition to be more like you're just a front man.
right.
Right.
You know, but
Because we were three piece.
Yeah, we were a 3-piece for like
for
a long time.
Yeah.
But we're kind of able to.
2018, we expanded the band in 2018.
Yeah, and it was always tough because we had the core 3, but it was always finding someone to like compliment us.
Right.
You know,
I get that.
we figured out pretty quickly that like we didn't necessarily have to have the best person, like the most talented whoever. It was more about like finding a person that you could like exist
chemistry.
with and
Yes.
have chemistry with.
Yes.
Mhm.
You know, not fucking hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough. But again, you know, at 19 years old, you think like, if I get the best guitarist, and the best drummer, and the best this, and the best that, or whatever, right? Then
Mhm.
like, I'll be unstoppable. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Not how it works.
Not how it works at all.
Because really, how do you define best? I mean,
Right.
then you get into that. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
a
what
lot of
is
this stuff
best?
is subjective, you know. And I'll say, like, you know, me when I was a kid, you know, like young, you know, late teens, early 20s, I was like, you know, my ego was, you know, kind of not so hot. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll say, when you get a little older in the music game, it kind of mellows you out. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of,
Well, life starts to happen.
yeah, life
Because to
happens. You're
continue
like, oh
existing-
wow, I'm not necessarily
Yeah, at a
as
certain
special
point,
as I think I am.
Right.
You know what I mean?
at a
And
certain
then you
point,
see
it changes.
there are a
from-
lot of other good people too. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And our scene is very good. I mean, you know, we have some good bands here. We have Brown Goose, we have Tragic, we have Northie, we have
The retrograde.
the Retrograde,
Yeah.
we have we have a ton of great bands here
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, I don't know if you
Right.
guys know like Danny Bedrosian, but I mean all his projects.
Oh God,
Yeah.
Danny's
you know,
fucking
like
sick.
I mean, there's just a lot of really good talent here. I mean,
Yeah.
And see, there's this other thing that exists in Tallahassee that we have like the craziest, most unique gospel scene
mhm.
that I know of.
You're the second person I've heard say that.
Dude, there's something about Tallahassee gospel music that doesn't sound like gospel music from any other. And I'm not talking about Gaither fucking vocal band, like,
Right.
like not that shit. I'm
Yeah.
talking about like actually talented
Yeah, super
church
talented.
musicians,
Yeah.
right?
Like
Mhm.
Striper.
Exactly. Exactly like Striper. But there is this
Like
whole-
Tallahassee Nights Live,
Tallahassee
like
Nights Live,
Doc
that
B. I don't know if
whole-
you know that guy, but
that's
he's
just
got a great band that he's assembled.
that whole community is crazy in like the best way possible.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, because I was talking to Hunter's dad is the director at the Tallahassee Museum, and he's a guy, he knows everybody, he knows all the players in
Right.
town, you know. And but the thing is, I was talking to him about Doc D and Tallahassee Nights Live, and there's definitely like a clear partition here, and it's not like it's intentional or anything like that, but like the scene of the white folks and the scene of the black folks is almost like two completely different scenes, you
It's-
know, like
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not as
dude, it's a real shame.
it's not
too.
there's not as much crossover. Like I highly recommend to check out Tallahassee Nights Live and what
Yeah,
Doc
it's-
D's doing.
it's
Like
amazing.
that is a great show. I mean, it's going to be like a variety show with a bunch of different vocalists but super talented.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
amazing. Like Tim Clark, his son Jordan, all those guys are so fucking good. I mean, to the level where, okay, I'll put it to you this
We have
way:
a good metal scene.
I have
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a lot of rock bands that come in that can't record well together. Like they have to multi-track to really get it tight and
Right.
right. You know what I
Right.
mean? Those gospel crews are so good at playing together that like I'm struggling to find inputs because I'm like, oh my God, you got a tambourine player? Let's do that right now with everybody else. Like they're just so good. And I think other people are starting to pick up because I've got a couple of clients that are from like far off, like one's from Colorado
Wow.
that comes here. Like he flies here to record with Tallahassee gospel musicians because there's something like different about it.
Wow.
I think honestly, if I'm being straightforward, I think that's going to be the next thing for Tallahassee. You know, it was
Yeah.
Creed, it was Mayday. I think the next thing that's going to come out of Tallahassee that like is noteworthy and huge is going to come out of the gospel scene. They are
Wow.
so good.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's cool. Well, we are going to wrap up on time, but I do have some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay,
guys.
cool.
You ready? All right.
Yeah.
So these are would you rather? Would you rather listen to your least favorite genre for 24 hours or never listen to your favorite genre for 6 months?
Ooh, least favorite
Yeah,
from 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Least, yep.
Least favorite. All right. So, would you rather hear your favorite artist sing your least favorite song, or your least favorite artist sing your favorite song?
Favorite artist, least favorite song.
Yep.
For sure.
Favorite
Yeah,
artist,
yeah,
least
yeah,
favorite song.
yeah.
Okay. Would you rather listen to a song with terrible vocals but brilliant lyrics, or a song with amazing vocals but horrible lyrics?
Amazing vocals, horrible
Same.
lyrics.
Yeah.
Lyrics don't really
I'm not
matter.
a Bob Dylan guy. Like, I just not. Like, I know he writes great songs, don't want to hear it.
Okay.
Don't hear it.
All right. So, Ozzy or D. Snyder?
Oh,
Ozzy.
Ozzy.
Ooh.
All right. Well, I guess we're done.
Come on, man. Like, I was talking to Kyle. I said, man, I think Ozzy might actually be the biggest, most famous, greatest single rock star of all time.
Yes.
Like, I mean, for so long and with so many different projects. I mean, he's been with 2 all-time great guitar players, Iommi and Randy Rhoads. Well, and Zach Wild. I'm
Zach
sorry.
Wild.
Yeah.
3.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I need you to correct your.
All right. So, how about Rolling Stones or Judas Priest in concert?
oh, Stones.
Stones
In concert?
in
Yeah.
concert.
Okay.
Although I love Priest.
I mean, I would just love to see someone do the Mick Jagger thing without falling over.
All right. So, would you rather listen to music digitally or on a vinyl?
I don't have a preference. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty much whatever I've got access to.
Yeah.
I'm
Same. But
not a super audiophile.
I'd rather support artists through having the vinyl.
Yeah.
But how I listen to it is irrelevant. But
Yeah.
collecting the vinyls and doing that stuff is good for the artists and their.
It makes you
finances.
look cool.
There you go.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
All right. So, would you rather sing Led Zeppelin or AC/DC at karaoke?
Probably AC/DC.
Who you?
Yeah, I would probably say
Man,
AC/DC.
I'm gonna try to do the plant thing.
Yeah.
All right. So, would you rather be a roadie for Whitesnake or Poison?
Oh, can I just kill myself? Is that an option?
I don't know, man. I guess probably Whitesnake for me, but that's just so because all this stuff with like
Is Tawny
Bret
Katine
Michaels
there?
and all that. He's just kind of like a huge rock star. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
bigger than.
I
Big
think
and-
honestly,
I think you
Whitesnake,
get a lot of that attitude.
before they had their whole her dancing on the car kind of thing,
Yeah.
like they were kind of a like badass 70s band. Like
Yeah.
those guys could fucking play. Poison, I don't think can play. Like I think they started out as an image and sort of like did the Monkees thing where they looked good as a unit, but they weren't really a band.
Yeah.
And they had to be taught the band
Yeah.
thing. Whereas Whitesnake was like a bunch of guys. It would be like us if we were just like, we'll give you money if you wear spandex.
It's like, okay,
And it's
fine.
like a tough decision. I guess we're going to wear spandex now.
It's like, yeah, I'm from Orlando.
Exactly.
All right. Allison Chains or Nirvana?
Oh, change.
Chains.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. Would you rather play guitar like Jimmy Page or Ted Nugent?
Page.
I mean,
Good
I'd rather
choice.
probably record like Page, but he's not that great live. He teeters.
How much heroin have I had? Because that's a real strong indicator. Because if the answer is 0, Page. If the answer is a lot, probably Ted Nugent.
Yeah, same.
All right. Last one, and then we'll see what type of comments we got coming in. But would you rather party with Skid Row or System of a Down?
Oh, System of a Down. all the way.
Honestly, I think I'd have a better time with Skid Row.
I know, but man, yeah, you could probably understand their cultural stuff more.
Well,
I mean,
I
man,
just
I feel like
don't
System of
want
a Down.
to. I
Like,
just don't want to be.
Serge has got to be like a maniac, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's like,
I just
like, that's
don't
my
want to
kind
be
of
like
people.
trying to party and I'm just hearing about like all this horrible shit that happened. Like I'm not saying that it's not valid, and they were one of my
Oh, you
favorite
mean like-
bands growing up, but it's
like
just
genocide.
like-
You mean?
yeah, I just don't want to like.
Man, they probably don't talk about that when they're drinking. Well,
Well, I hope not.
hopefully not.
I mean, that might
Like,
explain why
and if
they
they're
haven't.
tripping, it's even worse.
That might explain why they haven't released new music. They're not drinking, talking about it anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Last comments of the night. What we got?
All right. Of course, we got Tammy coming in with the like, share,
Tammy,
subscribe. Make sure you guys hit them
yes.
bells,
Yes.
buttons, and all that.
Get it, girl. Who we got?
We got some
Josh.
stripping music, Whitesnake for sure.
Yes.
Josh also says listening to Bret Michaels is like nails on a chalkboard.
If the
Facts.
chalkboard is on fire, and, like being beaten into you. Yeah.
All right, so where can everybody go to listen to your music, and where can they? Are tickets out for that show yet, or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Like I said, as far as we know, the promo stuff is going to start happening tomorrow.
Okay.
We're going to be sharing that to our page. So if you go to
yourcaptainspeakingmusic.com.
yeah, that's just a link tree, and you can go to our Facebook, our YouTube, and our Spotify and our Apple Music, and we'll be posting about all that stuff on our
Yep.
Facebook. So you can come check us out. That's going to be a really, really cool show.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good show, and I think it'll probably be a big one too.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
if you're looking for a fun party, I think that'll probably be it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome. So keep that date in mind. Make sure you check these guys out one more time. What's the link?
yourcaptainspeakingmusic.com.
There you go. Make sure you check them out. Make sure you go like their page, go follow their page. Tell them you saw them on Off the Record, and now you're huge fans, because how can you not be?
Well, and also, please support Off the Record. These guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have got like a great setup here. This feels very relaxed. If you're a band, you should probably message them.
And feel free to write me
Message them.
to write me personally,
And-
Facebook or Instagram. We answer to your captain speaking.
We answered that. You can call us Russ. I'd be like, who is that peasant?
You can call me sir.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but yeah, we're your captain speaking on Instagram and on Facebook. I'm Russ Skinner. You can write to us on the band page too. We'd be happy to. If you got any questions, we'd be happy to talk to you.
Guys, thanks for coming on.
Thank you
Yeah,
guys
thanks for having
us.
us. Yeah, definitely.
No, this was a lot of
Well,
fun.
and if you're interested, if you're bands and you're interested, maybe getting involved in like a stream team or something for like local music, I am setting some playlists and stuff up on Spotify. And man, I can't believe I can't remember the name of it, but it's like the Southeast Musicians Network, I think it's called. I'm one of the admins for there, so definitely join.
We're banding together to defeat the algorithm.
Yes. So
Yes.
yeah, thank you guys so much for having us.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
no, thank
Appreciate
you
it.
guys. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Don't
Be
die.
sure to go to
empty
our Off the Record Facebook page. We do have our link tree up there. Make sure you go to YouTube, like, share, subscribe. Just like Tammy said in the comments, because we are really pushing our YouTube, and we would really love to have as many. If you're a band and you want to come on, let us know. We'd love to have y'all.
Beg them.
Yeah, on your knees.
Yes. They respond to Off the Record.
They answer to Off the Record.
They answer to. That's all. Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining us, and thank you guys for watching and hanging out. And last minute comments before we shut it off. Anything?
No, just a big shout out to Eye Catcher Signs for that tabletop. I know you can't see much of it.
It's fantastic.
I was having it was really badass before Russ spilled shit all over.
We will post a video on our Facebook page so you guys can see the table, because it's
It's awesome.
It's
Yeah,
the shit.
Badass.
And big shout out to Jeremy for all of his hard work and busting his ass this last 2 weeks putting the studio together. He did
Yeah.
a fantastic
Fans that come
job.
here, you'll feel pampered.
Yes.
I still got a long way to go. The whole camera thing didn't work out for me. I want to do multiple camera angles and all kinds of stuff.
See, we're gonna
but next
have to
time.
come back whenever there's multiple the Gooch cam.
Oh, yeah. Now there is. Have you guys been in the bathroom yet? There is multiple camera angles in there.
I was actually gonna head that right after, so I'm
All right, so stay tuned, because coming up, more of this guy.
the streaming won't end.
Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best.
Peace.
Thanks.